Most Americans are simply not ready to see something like this once they leave the United States. Welcome to part 2 of my interview with my creative friend Florian. Don't forget to find the rest of the interview at the end or in the description box. If you have any thoughts, input, or questions, add them to the comment section and we can keep this discussion going. Otherwise, thank you for watching. So yes, I pick up on certain smaller things that I didn't see before, but it doesn't reverse what I felt initially about honor and integrity in the country.
Sounds good. How was life and your experience in the first few days when you moved?
To be honest, the first few days here are kind of a blur. I mean, because it was just like I said just a second ago, it's like there was so much to see. It was just like there was so much overstimulation that my mind didn't have much time to process many things, you know.
In the beginning, everything is new.
Yeah. Just everything being new, like so many things to gather. I do remember a few things. So frontal nudity in some of the advertisements in public, that's died down a little bit. But just like I said, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I would see it all the time on TV. I could see advertisements out in the public on signs and stuff like that. Full frontal nudity. So it was just kind of strange to me to see that. In the States, you know, they're a little more weird about that kind of thing. Another thing, seeing nearly everyone, from my perspective, seeing nearly everyone smoking. That was another really like astonishing, shocking thing that I saw. For me, I thought the idea was to not smoke so much, you know, to get people to not be smoking as much.
Yeah.
But upon coming here, I just seen so many people, young and old, just taking to cigarettes.
It was actually something that surprised me about Canada, because I didn't expect to be there that there's any difference between Germany or Europe and North America. But apparently, the United States and Canada, smoking is not a thing. Not many people smoke here.
A little less, yeah. Let's see. Another thing, having teens sell me my beer. They're older teens, but having teens selling my beer, that just seemed odd, that the young person cashing me out with my beer was just not even of age, the of age that I was familiar with. Of course, it's different in Germany, but the of age, which is 21, that I was familiar with, it just seemed weird that they were selling me my beer. Again, trivial things, but you know, if I had to name a few things that I can attribute to the first few days of experience, it's those little things.
Can you think of the greatest challenge you had when moving here, when moving to Germany?
Greatest challenge. To me, the greatest challenges were the language barrier, first off, which is probably by far the toughest thing to deal with, I guess, for me. To this day, I still struggle hard. And I am extremely grateful to for the patience that most people have with me. They surely don't have to have it. I guess another challenge is adjusting to not having many options for conveniences. As I mentioned earlier, I worked a lot when I was in the States, and mostly on night shift. So I grew used to being able to like buy food, for example, at 3 a.m. if I needed to, right? Or if I needed an accessory or a tool or something, electronic, a haircut even, I was used to just the abundance of accessibility. If you don't live near like a truck stop here or something like that, and most people don't, then don't expect to buy anything after like 2100, 9 o'clock at night. If you need specific things, prepare to go directly to where those specific things will only be, meaning there ain't many all-in-one stores like a Super Target or a Super Walmart. There ain't many stores like that here, right? So that's another challenge, just the abundance that I was used to dwindling down a little bit. The last challenge, I would say, was getting used to not being constantly on the go. Boom, 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 go, go, go. For a while, I literally felt like I wasn't doing something maybe I was supposed to be doing when I was living here. I just felt like I wasn't doing something because life had slowed down just that much. The days were slow most times, quiet. They went by and I wasn't stressed or completely exhausted. In the beginning, it just felt off a little bit for things to be so slow. I'd say those were the most challenging things for me.
Okay. How hard was it to make a living in the beginning? And how is it now?
Making a living. If I count the beginning, you said the beginning. If I count the beginning as when I was here serving in the military, then making a living wasn't a problem at all. The U.S. military provided me everything I could need. I didn't have to worry about my legal stay, finances, housing, transportation, employment, insurance, schooling for my 2 daughters, or much of really anything, to be honest. It was more or less handed to me. But if I count the beginning as when I came here not as a U.S. military member, then that'd be a little bit different. Finding my way to make a living was a bit different in that regard. And it was all up to me at that point. It was all up to me. I didn't have anybody to go to or lean on at that point. And although I made it happen, it required way more of my active participation. Like I had to be active and aggressive with things at times. You know, I had to get out there and actually pursue things. If I didn't, then slowly things would start to fall by the wayside and I'd be back in the States. But I got it done. And I would say that it's easier for me to make a living here now since I know way more than I did then, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And it can be hard going to a different culture, a different country, trying to figure out how to make a living. But it can also be easier depending on what your own mindset and your own culture is in the place you're in or not. That's why I'm asking how hard was it to make a living? Just depends on the person and the country you are in.
Absolutely.
It also plays into like dealing with the culture, with differences in culture. How did you get used to the culture in Germany?
The main thing I would say helped me get used to the culture was being open-minded. That's a big one. Now, although this could be partly because of my personality itself, I do think that if someone wants something bad enough, they will actively practice to learn to reduce their defenses and open their mind up to new things, basically. It has to be understood that most people are going to be uncomfortable in a new culture. Like, expect that. Not every transition will be seamless. Not every adjustment will be painless. You likely will struggle somewhere. And I was fortunate enough to grasp that concept early on. That for sure helped me to get used to this new culture, just staying open-minded.
Did you experience any culture shocks?
I guess I did. I mean, I guess everybody does. You know, it's kind of like what I was just saying. There's obviously going to be some. But if I had
something
any,
that strikes you, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. If I had any, they weren't hard to overcome for me. I overcame a lot of the stuff that was new to me and different to me just by talking about them. I would bring things up to my coworkers or family, and we'd chop it up with each other. And you know, you'd be surprised that after getting something out there and not holding on to it and misunderstanding all to yourself, how much that frees up your mind and just opens you up to other things. Once you grab a hold of something and understand it a little bit better, you don't fear it or you don't sweat it as much. And I guess I overcame these things eventually by just finding a way to talk about it. If I couldn't do that, then I make content. Make content about it. One way or another, I had to talk about it.
Yeah. Do you have any tips on making friends in a new country?
No.